Very good morning, students. Coming to another lecture on microprocessor and microcontroller. Today we are going to discuss about the ADC10 successful approximation in our syllabus, and this is a fifth lecture in fourth unit. And coming to the topic, what is ADC? ADC is nothing but converting an analog signal into a digital word, digital data. That means analog to digital converter. Why we are using this analog to digital converter means, so the information whatever we are getting from some of the output peripherals is an analog form, and those analog signals cannot be understood by the devices like microprocessors and microcontrollers, so it has to be converted into digital one. So in order to convert the obtained analog signals into digital form, we are going to use an A to D converter here. So here the ADC10 module supports fast 10-bit analog to digital conversion. That means it automatically or it rapidly converts the given analog input into a digital output, and the module implements a 10-bit SIR core, sample select control, reference generator, and data transfer control. All these are used to convert the given signal into a digital signal, and the digital transfer control allows ADC10 samples to be converted and stored anywhere in the CPU intervention without CPU intervention. That means without interacting with the CPU, the converted data will be stored in the memory. See here, and coming to this block diagram of ADC10, here you can see here a sample and hold circuit. That means the analog input. See here, analog inputs. So the input which we are receiving from the external devices. For example, the temperature sensor will give us an analog signal. See here, this bubble indicates that the data is receiving from external devices. That means we can receive some of the analog inputs from external devices, or this input is from internal circuit. Means see here, A0 to A7 are from external inputs, external blocks, and from remaining A10 to A10 and A11 are the internal inputs. See here, whenever the data is being transmitted through this interrupt channel, which will be stored in the sample and hold circuit, and in order to start the conversion, it needs a trigger which is given from this input, that is start conversion. See here, we have ADC10 SC start conversion, out 0, out 1, and out 2. So it will encode, or it will give a trigger to this circuit to convert the sample and hold, and the data which is converted here will be given to the 10-bit SAR code. And for a reference signal, we are going to take a value here, a fixed value here for a reference only, and this value will be compared with these two, sample and hold circuit. So if both are equal, then this ADC10 memory, analog to digital converter 10-bit memory, sometimes will generate an interrupt. So see here, in order to into how many bits we need to divide this data will be decided by this ADC10 division. As I have previously told you that divided by 1 or divided by 2 or divided by 4 or divided by 8, and this will be in active mode by the clock signals, that is ADC10 oscillator clock, ACLK oscillator clock, MCLK and SMCLK. That means in order this clock signals, among these 4 clock signals, only one clock signal will be accepted, and it is going to transmit, or it is going to send the clock to the divider section. Based on the divider section, we are going to divide how many times, that means 1 or 2 or 4 or 8, then that will be given to this 10-bit SAR. Here we have internal reference as well as external reference voltage also. Here these bits are of external reference, and this bit is of internal reference, as I have already told you. And coming to the features of ADC10, it can convert up to a maximum rate of 200 kilo samples per second, and also it can sample and hold the programmable sample periods, and conversion initiation by software or a timer A. Okay, software selectable internal or external references. This may be an external reference or an internal reference, and the software selectable on-chip reference. Software selectable on-chip reference will be from 1.5 volts to 2.5 volts, and it has an 12 external input channels, and the conversion rate for internal temperature sensor, VCC, and an external reference. Okay, so coming to the conversion modes, see here we have 4 modes here, conversion modes. Mode 00, mode 01, mode 10, and mode 11. See here in mode 00, that is a single channel single conversion, that means single channel, and it is going to convert a single conversion. It selects only one channel and it converts only one conversion, that means the complete channel will be converted only once. Single channel is convertible once here. 01, sequence of channels, that means it will take a sequence of channels, channel 1, channel 2, like that, and it will convert it into, okay, it will convert that data options here. 10, repeated single channel, it will completely repeat the conversion of the same channel repeatedly. Okay. 11, repeat sequence of channels. Here sequence of channels are repeatedly converted. So coming to the next one, what is a DMA? Direct Memory Access Controller. That means it is an interfacing device. That means it is going to access directly with the memory. See, the direct memory access is a data controller that transfers data from one address to another without any CPU interventions across the entire address range. That means it is not going to interact with the CPU, and it can move a block of data from one location to another location. That these devices can contain DMA controller, may have up to 8 channels available, and a DMA controller can increase the through output of peripheral modules, and it also can reduce the power consumption by allowing the CPU to remain in low power modes without having to awaken the move data to or from a peripheral. That means we are not using the CPU. So whenever CPU is not used, then we are entering, or we are allocating, or we are not using any power to the CPU. That means we are consuming the power, and in the same sense the data will be transmitted from one location to another location. See here, the DMA controller features are here. We have see here 3 independent transfer modes, that are DMA0, DMA1, and DMA2. So we have 3 independent channels, they are not dependent upon one another, and the DMA transfer cycle time requires only 2 MCLK clock cycles per transfer. This means this MCLK is given to the CPU. Byte or word and mixed byte or word transfer will be transfer capability. We can send either byte or word or a mixture of byte or word. So the block sizes is up to 65,535 bytes or word, and also configurable selection of transfer trigger. So what is the meaning of configurable? We can make changes according to the usage. Selectable edges or level triggered transfer. Selectable edges, we need to select either the higher rising edge or falling edge, and we have 4 addressing modes. Those are fixed address to fixed address, fixed address to block of address, and block of address to fixed address, and block of address to a block of address. See here we have 4 addressing modes here. Fixed address to fixed address, next one is fixed address to a block of address, block of address to a fixed address, and block of address to a block of address. Coming to this first one, fixed address to a fixed address, that means here the address space, the DMA is going to extract the data in an address location and directly transfer to a specific address which is fixed. We need to move from here to here. For example, the branch code of EC is 04. It is fixed, it cannot be changed. So okay, coming to the next one, fixed address to block of address. Fixed address to block of address, we can change that fixed address to anywhere in this block. That means anyone can enter, not a student can enter anywhere in the library here. Okay, next coming to the first one, block of address to a fixed address. So lot of books which are stored in the shelves, and they will be named as, suppose these books or these shelves belongs to ECE department, these shelves belongs to CSE department, like that. And the last one is block of address to block of address. Anyone can come, all the departments can come and subscribe the books which are present in the library and refer the books which are present in the library. So how we are going to give the priorities of the request? So default priority, as we already know that NMI is having a default priority. In the same sense, we have already seen that we have a three channels, that is DMA0, DMA1 and DMA2. That means here DMA0 has a highest priority, followed by DMA1 and DMA2, direct memory access 2, and it is in the process of a round robin priority. See here, first of all we are going to serve this one, last service request, first one, and we are going to for the next one, then we are going for a third one in a sequential order, and we will have some more transfer modes, data transfer modes. See here 0, 0, 0 mode, that means a single transfer. Each transfer requires a trigger, and that means a single transfer, only one bit of data will be transferred here. A block transfer, as we have seen, fixed address, only one. Okay, here a block transfer, a complete block is transferred with one trigger. Here we are sending only one transfer per trigger. Here we are sending a complete block by using a one single trigger. See here 0, 1, 0 and 0, 1. Burst block transfer, CPU activity is interleaved with a block of transfer. CPU activity is interleaved with a block of transfer. In this we are moving a block of transfer without the interfacing of a CPU. Repeated single transfer, repeatedly we are transferring with a single triggered. Repeated block transfer, as I have already told you that a repeated block transfer, see here, see these modes, repeated block transfer, like that. Okay, a repeated block transfer, a complete block is transferred with one triggered, and the last one is 110 and 111. Repeated burst block transfer. See here, same, the CPU activity is interfaced with a block of transfer. Here the data enabled DMA enabled after transfer is 1. See here, last 4 things, that is 100, 101, 110 and 111 having a block DMA enable after transfer, that is it is enabling the devices. So here we are comparing two memories, that is a ferroelectric random access memory and flash memory. Okay, is an okay, see here, FRAM is a non-volatile, that is it retains its content on loss of power. It retains its content, that means their data will be stored even though the power is lost. And this is also a non-volatile memory that can be electrically erased and programmed. So whenever we need to change or we need to erase the program, it can be erased electrically and we can reprogram that one. FRAM is a true random access memory, that is the memory is not segmented. Here there is no parts in the FRAM, it will be collectively in a one channel. That is here flash devices have a segmented memories. Based on the requirement, we are going to divide these memory sizes. Typically write speeds can be exceed to Mbps with FRAM. So here whenever we are using this one, we are need to extract more data. So here this will be limited to 14 kbps. For example, this is an unlimited version of your internet and this is a limited version of your internet. Unlimited in the sense what you people are using it to your mobile phones, and this is what you people are using it in net centers. FRAM with access are extremely low power. Here we are consuming less power, we are consuming extremely low power, not extremely low power, somewhat of power is being consumed. FRAM writes can be performed across the full voltage range of the devices, and flash writes cannot be performed across the, so here full voltage range it can perform the writes operation, and here it cannot be performed in the write operation. So thank you, and